Good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing this evening? Thanks for tuning in to Next Set Live, episode 9. Surf comps and some free talk. How's everybody doing this Monday? Got me a haircut, got cleaned up. Had to run some errands today on this beautiful Monday. It's a little windy, a little small, but we were able to get out there and get some practice in. We have ESA coming up, and that's really what caused me to do a last minute show change. Let's see here. Because the plan was not to do this one, but we are going to. So, while I get all my timers and stuff cleared and all that, let's see here. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Yes, reset all. Thank you. Gotta have the timers. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Next Set Live, brought to you by Blue Wave, and a whole bunch of sponsors, man. We've picked up some sponsors, and I'm super stoked. First off, Foxy Surf Wax. 100% pure organic surf wax. Good for your body and safe for the ocean and reef. 100% non-petroleum based wax, surf wax. So that's a very key, important aspect. And then Prince Surfboards. They make some phenomenal skateboards and surf skates, and ran by a really fantastic dude. He's over there at Another Ride Surf Shop, so go check him out. We have Charming Shark. They make some amazing jewelry based right out of here in Florida. I want to say Sarasota. I think I might be wrong. But they are out of Florida, so I did get that right. Gotta have the coffee. Coffee. Hey, have you ever thought about doing weird interviews? Actually, yes, I have. We are always welcoming interviews. So, this coming up event for ESA, we are live streaming. We are sticking with ESA for the rest of the year, Central ESA. As we progress and get bigger, we're going to have, more people attached to me. Yeah, I knew that's what you meant, Mr. Lewis. I knew. But yes, right now, the way it's set up is our first live stream with ESA, we wanted to make sure we didn't intrude in. It's glaring off of my intrude, but we have now found our place. We're going to be right up next to the judges with our tent. Our most recent one we did, we were kind of scooted away, which caused some problems. It caused people to get in the way of our camera and kind of put me away. But again, it was my very first one. I didn't want to intrude. So yes, we are doing heat winners at ESA or Central ESA coming up on the 25th. Every time you see us, we want you to come up to the tent. Right now, it's just me running the cameras, running the tech, doing this. So it's a little difficult for me to run up there. However, from now on, I'm going to make it very clear. Hey, heat winners, after you're done, come up to the tent. We want to talk with you. We want to hear who your sponsors are. got a list of questions, because really that's what we're here for. We're here, yes, to promote ourselves, and everybody that supports what I'm doing, but more importantly, I'm here to promote the surfers. That's what I'm building this platform for. So from now on, any contest that we're doing, that's how it's going to be. Now, when we get bigger, have some more funding coming in, we're going to add more people to our team, more cameras, more high-tech stuff. So, bear with me as we grow. So for now, we're going to scream at you, hey, come do an interview. But for now, you'll have to come actually up. And we're going to make it real simple. I've already talked with Mario. I've talked with all the judges. Talked with, brain fart. Oh my gosh. His new, oh my gosh. You put me on the spot and I forgot. I've talked to everybody that's in charge for Central ESA Florida. We're going to be right there. So we won't have this issue ever again. Hopefully that answers your question, which jumps me into the whole purpose for the title of this episode, Surf Comps and Free Talk. So for surf comps, what I'm really going to be hitting on is why they're important, the difference in each surf competition, and the importance of making sure you're in surf competitions for the right reason. That being said, the reason why I'm trying to hit on that tonight with the free talk is because as a new surfer myself, as someone who spent the last couple of years studying surfing, studying the workouts that go with it, studying the surf comps as a business owner, and then now as a coach, a trainer, and a competitor myself, there's a few things that I didn't understand when I first got into it. There's so many surf competitions that you get lost in it. You don't understand the importance of the surf comps and the different levels that they're at. Yeah, we know that your average person has seen a surfer, or they've seen them on the Olympic team and so on and so forth, but not all competitions are equal. They all have their purpose, but they are not equal. Some surf competitions are there for learning, getting the basics done, understanding how they work, the surf comp in general. When you break surf competitions down, they all have basically the same structure, but the end goal is not the same. Prime example, our area is blessed to have Gnarly Charlie. It's a great surf competition for starting out, staying in the heat of things when it comes to prepping for competitions and stuff. Because sometimes if you take a couple weeks, couple months off of comps, you get a little rusty. Or like in our case with Madison, that was her first surf competition series. And so it really helped us understand how things work as parents, as a coach. And for her, it was a good starting point on how to learn what to do and what not to do in surf competitions on a safe, without having to worry about other competitors yelling, screaming at you, which you really don't come across that. The only time you come across that's if you're free surfing. Generally, in surf competitions, you're on that level of understanding with your other competitors, and you're there to win, yes, but you're also there to make sure everybody's safe and sound and good to go. So you compare, Gnarly Charlie to, let's say, I'll use our district, Central ESA. When you start surfing that, you are building points. You are building to something higher. So, like regionals and then Easterns, which can lead to a plethora of other surf comps that you're not going to be looked at when you do the basic surf comps. So the hierarchy of surf competitions, when you get to like ESA, NSSA, WSL, USA Surfing, even the East Coast Grom Tour, they all kind of collaborate. They all look at each other. They all like pull. It's like one giant pulling pool. Whereas a lot of these surf competitions are for fun. Yes, we have a couple local ones that you surf in. They don't really count towards anything like points wise or getting into like national championships and stuff like that. And here's a prime example. So we have the Florida Cup, right? We've got a ton of great surfers who surf locally, state of Florida wise. So you've got the Space Coast board riders, you've got, the Daytona board riders, you've got, I think, Jacksonville, you've got the Treasure Coast, and they all compete against each other for the Florida Cup and for the Florida board riders. That in itself is a whole separate entity. It's not counting towards, like ESA, NSSA, WSL, that kind of thing. But what it does lead to is other opportunities, like their Space Coast board riders all hits up California, hits up Australia. There's some big surf events outside of your normal surfing league is the best way for me to describe it. So there's multiple, depending on your overall goal and what you're trying to accomplish, there are multiple ways to get there. But, there's a lot of just basic surf comps that are just that. They're basic. They're to go to have fun, win some prizes, give some local shout outs, support the local industry, and provide some entertainment. But when you start breaking it down, that's where it becomes really important to understand the hierarchy of all the surf competitions. I kind of break it down to politics. I hate to say it, but it has the same tier levels. You've got your, we'll just use the United States. You have the big government that handles everybody. Then you've got your state. Then you've got your local, like city council, commissioners, stuff like that. But then you have, which would be, I hate to use the term because I can't think of a better term right now. You have the basic run-of-the-mill volunteer, the bottom that holds everything up section, which, is your volunteers, stuff like that. It's the same aspect in surfing. And there's a ton of them. I just only know my local stuff, and there's a bunch of local surf Gnarly Charlie, technically, from what I've done in my homework, there's a lot of other competitions that are trying to bring in what he's done. But Gnarly Charlie is probably the core fundamental surf series just for kids, for Groms. And I'm talking Madison was in it. I think she was a fresh 4 years old. That's not typically what you're going to experience with surfing a lot of these competitions. They're not going to bring in or allow you to bring in, they say they do, but I've been to plenty. Now, I'm not speaking for the rest of the continental United States or the world, just in our area. And I've talked to a lot of parents, and realistically, statewide. One, they're not catering to that. A lot of surf competitions already want you to have the basics down. Gnarly Charlie, I've got to give that man a huge round of applause. He's a handful, great dude, great intentions, great for the Groms. That's what holds up and what continuously molds and bring in new surfers. And quite frankly, we're kind of sad. Madison's taking a break from Gnarly Charlie to focus on high end training and ESA, and it's conflicting with what I'm doing business wise and what she's doing training wise. She has been doing Gnarly Charlie since she was 4. Then she started doing ESA and started doing other competitions. Now we're really pushing for more physical, mental training, and focusing on certain aspects. So that's where the decision comes in. What's your end goal as a surfer, as a parent, as a coach? What is the end goal for the surfer? And for Madison, she's at that tipping point of almost fully being able to paddle on her own and catch her own waves. And she's getting ready to turn 6. So it's important to let her develop that. And you have to decide, like I have to decide as her dad, as her coach, as her trainer, and as her teacher, hey, we've got to focus. And so what's important, I have found for her surf journey and future career, you have to set aside, okay, this is our boundaries. This is what we're willing to do. Like with her, usually 10 minutes. I like to do between 10 and 13 minutes before it's time for her to go out. She gets her jersey on, she gets her board down, she gets it on her, her leash on her foot. And we sit there and we watch the waves, we figure out the game plan. And so you're more susceptible to be able to stick with that when you start moving up in the competitions, because on the competitions that teach you the basics, that allow you to have fun and keep it carefree, which is fantastic, phenomenal. For her, it's kind of holding her back because all the kids want to come and talk and play, and I'm trying to teach her these things. So that's so important when you're training. I'm going to come as a coach. When I'm training her, that's so important for me to decide, hey, what are we going to do? Are we going to keep, letting it be kosher, fun? Or are we going to really start focusing on the seriousness of, hey, you're in one heat. This is it. You've got to focus. When you're done with that, then you can go. When she gets older, because right now she's in the polywog division. And so most of the time, it's one and done. For Gnarly Charlie, there was times where she was doing, I think the most she's ever done was 6 heats. No, she did 9 because she was in 7U, 9U, and foam for a while. And so it's important to understand the structure of the surf competition, understand what it is that you want to do. Hey, girls. Hey. I'm watching the girls tonight. A buddy of mine had to go to work. And so I've got 3 girls here. It is entertaining. But with that being said, it's going to bring me to the structure and importance of these surf competitions. A lot of surf competitions, you have to understand their structure, their hierarchy. Most surf competitions run pretty smoothly. But I see, from my understanding, I've seen a lot of parents not understand, why some of us are chill and don't get like, hey, you didn't win first this time, but you got to the finals, you got your points. So surf competitions are like NASCAR. I don't know if any of y'all have watched NASCAR, but it's about the points. It's about the end result. in the end goal. So for ESA, Central ESA, our division, I'll use me as an example. I have won first a handful of times, but I typically am not pulling in first because some of the guys I'm going against, well, one of the guys I went against, he's in Peru. No, not Peru. He's down there in South America somewhere, in getting ready to surf one of the biggest competitions. He's representing Costa Rica. I was surfing against a legit pro surfer. Like, well, gee, how did you get to regionals? Well, because I went to every competition, made it to the finals. It doesn't matter first, second, third, fourth. It's about points. It's about understanding it's the long goal. It's the same thing when you're coaching these kids. And another thing I'm going to hit on, parents, if you're pushing your kid and your kid's legit doing floaters and big carves and 2-3 turns, it's time to get them out of the it's time for you to stop pushing. I'm going to ruffle some feathers right there. Push in is for those who are starting off. The second Madison legit, she's just now doing shortboard stuff, even if I kept her on longboard. The second that she's able to do in a not just my, hey girls, go. No. Thank you. The second that she's legitimately able to do a full maneuver, I'm out. She's to the point now to where she's on her shortboard, she's reading the wave, and the second I see her consistently able to do what she needs to do, I'm out. She is not going to be in pushing anymore. As long as a surf competition allows her to go to the age group that has, like, their youngest age groups. A lot of them, like Gnarly Charlie, 7 and 9 is still push. They're not on their own until about, I think, 10, 11. I think his youngest one's 11. But a lot of the times these kids are like 8 years old. Stop licking me. Are 8 years old and they're already surfing in 11U. If your Grom, if your kid is 7 years old, 8 years old, and he's doing floaters or she's doing floaters and she's doing multiple moves, stop pushing them. Let them do it on their own. 2 reasons. 1, you're hindering their growth. You're stalling their growth because they're not getting the part of paddling. And then 2, that's kind of like saying Tom Brady, because he's old, should be playing in Pee Wee football. I mean, can you connect that one? If legit, if your kids are doing maneuvers like I'm saying, stop pushing them. I don't care if they're small. I don't care if they're fresh. It's time to let them go, and it's hard for 2 or 3 different reasons. It's hard sometimes as a parent to let go because you still think of them as small. There's a few times when I've seen Matt, and that's one huge reason why I sat down with her shaper and said, hey, look, my goal for her would be to be a big wave surfer on a big board. Like, that would be my goal for her. She's been on a longboard. She's consistently doing what she needs to do on a longboard, but the problem is, yes, she is young. She looks like a little turtle trying to get those arms over that board. She's surfed the narrowest board I've had her on, I think, was like an 18, and I didn't feel like she was comfortable on it. Then I put her on almost a 19. It was like an 18.9 something, and she did just fine. But I sat down with her shaper, Oh, honey. See, and you understand it. I think a lot of it is, and I'm going to throw myself in this category, Mr. Lewis, is when you have families that are new to surfing and they're getting, and I correct me if I'm wrong. I am still fairly new to this industry, to this lifestyle of surfing. But what I've noticed over the past 4 years is those of us that introduce our kids to surfing for the very first time. It's not like been passed down. Sports has been passed down, but this particular one is fresh for the family. And what I've noticed is when you fall into that category, you tend to hold on a little bit longer and don't let that kid go. Um, and I've seen it a lot in the lower spectrum of the surf competition hierarchy. There's a lot of kids out there, and I'm never going to call them out by name, um, and their parents. There's a ton of them. I'm just like, stop pushing them. Let them go. Let them go because they're fixing to blossom, and you're still pushing them. And now I understand if it's massive waves. If the kid if they're to that point to where they legit or could be on their own, but the waves are too big, just don't even let them surf. Like pull them because the joke was, especially with Madison, they already knew she's going. It didn't matter the conditions unless it was like completely 100% like even like Victor would fill in for me if I was hurting or if I didn't feel comfortable enough, like if the rips were too bad or the current was too strong. But not every parent's going to be like me. I want her to get the full 100% feel and to understand what she's going up against. And I think a lot of parents are hesitant to let their kids go. And we can see with DC, I mean, everything was done, and this is just pure speculative because I didn't see him grow, but just watching how he surfs now, apparently that was not a problem with you. You were like, all right, go, dude, go kill it. And the kid kills it. Um, I, it's totally off topic. What's super annoying, and I'm working on getting it implemented, or maybe I'll just hire somebody to do this, is I want to respond on here because the more I respond typing wise, it's in the algorithm. You get a couple nickels, a couple pennies for it. Um, but I'm responding voice wise. I'll probably go through at the end of it and give some love to your comments. Um, yeah, I'm sure. I know for me, and I'm built a little different. A lot of parents, even some of the judges, were like, "You're gonna let her go out in that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I I want her to be strong, and I want her to have a healthy fear and respect. And so, kids are born with it or they're not. Um, and you can tell the difference. And I'm not just saying this about my kid because my oldest was not born with it. He does not have that drive. He does not have that tenacity and the lack of fear. Whereas my daughter, you might as well have just split the tree in half. It's just how she came out. And I get it. It's hard. It's hard for me because I like it that I'm still connected with my daughter. But at the end of the day, I know we're all in this to win it. And if I stay back and I hold her back and I keep, because legitimately, honestly, I really do think this might be either the last summer or the last winter that I push her. You know, winter waves get bigger, the storms and stuff like that. And she's turning 6 next month, so we'll see. But I go back, and this is what I really suggest to parents. For those of you that don't understand how I have this point of view, I was in sports my whole life. If you haven't watched or talked to me and learned my history, quick rundown. I was in sports my whole life. I was a multi-state champion. Was headed to college. I had several scholarship opportunities for different sports. Shot myself in the foot. Ended up getting transferred to a different school. Went to the Army. Did my thing there. And this is going to come off as conceited. I don't mean for it to, but I was a beast. I could run. I could lift weights. I could do it all. And when I got out, I really wanted to get into coaching and teaching. That's not what happened. So my whole mentality in how I process things sports wise is going to be different than most people and most parents. So when I'm saying these things, it's coming from that background, that mentality of a coach, of of a true athlete. Now, for many years, I was not a true athlete. I kept the strength, but life happens, and I'm getting back into it. Um, but that's I implore you, if you're going to do surf competitions for fun, that's fantastic. That's great. I'm not talking to those parents. I'm talking to the parents of you're legitimately putting the time, the effort, the training into your kid or to your student, to whatever you want to call them. Um, let the training wheels come off. There's a bunch of you parents out there that your kids are 100% ready. Like I said, I'm not going to call them out. I ain't going to say names. You know who you are. Um, let them come off. If it's a scared thing, just know, and I'm pretty sure I can speak to all the other districts. I guarantee you all the districts are like our district when it comes to there's at least a minimum of 5. There's a lot of times more than that, but I'm going to say a minimum of 5 dads that are always watching and ready for if something happens. Prime example, regionals. This is where all the districts are together, right? This is our regionals down here. There was at least 10 parents, and I'm watching. I'm situational awareness. This comes from my background and the whole. I pinpointed, all right, that dad's ready. That dad's ready. I was ready. We had lifeguards ready. So if it's a scared thing, just know a good portion of us are going to risk our lives if something happens. Just saying. And that's one big factor for me is I surround myself at these competitions. I've gotten to know these people. There are a handful of people that I know right now that would go out and risk their life to save my kid. If I could not get out there or I'm not there, I know. So don't let your fear, keep the kid from going to that next level. And another great example right here, Mr. Lewis. If y'all don't know who DC is, then you need to get plugged in. And I guarantee you, I can throw out some names. I guarantee you, Gavin. I guarantee you, some of these local boys that don't do these competitions like Trey. You got Saxon Wilson. You've got the Minx boys. You've got Dominic Nunez. You've got Caitlin. You've got Madison. Not my Madison, but another Madison. Those kids, and there's literally tons I could start naming. Tons. Though that's what's letting these kids go to that next level. Is the parents, if they didn't grow up in this culture, the surf culture, they quickly realized, hey, I'm going to hold my kid back by keeping them training wheels on. So let the training wheels go. Let's see here. Oh my gosh. So like I said earlier, I've got the kids here. I've got my 2, and then I've got another 2, and why is that fuzzy? Is that fuzzy? It was fuzzy. Every now and then I catch what they're saying. and it distracts me so bad. Um, so back to the point at hand. Um, why is it doing that? That's so weird. Maybe hold on. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, I don't know. I'll try to ignore it. It's like staticky in my ear, and I don't understand why. Um, but like I was saying earlier, these competitions, they all have their purpose and their meaning, and so you really need to look at one, what competition or competitions are you really going to focus on? Because you can get out of hand. You can, and I've seen it, not just in surfing, but in baseball. It's predominantly in baseball, and sometimes basketball, where they put them in too many leagues, and instead of focusing on, two or three at most. Um, what? I don't. It's so distracting right now. Um, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm very distractible tonight. Um, but it's very important that you focus on that, so it'll get you to the next level. Um, and I say that because while a lot of people tend to believe the surfing sport, surfing in itself isn't expensive, it's expensive. When you're doing, let's say on average, two or three um, divisions in a surf competition. Surf competitions can be anywhere from, I've seen them as low as $35 all the way up to, on average, I'd say they're about $50. Um, regionals was about $170. There are some other higher end surf competitions that are a couple $100. But let's just take it from like a parent standpoint. Madison, I'll use us. Madison, about to be 6. I typically have her in, if the surf competition allows it, 2, maybe 3 different divisions at $50 a pop. And some competitions will knock off like 10, $15 the more you get, but let's just say on average it's $40. 40 times 3 is what? 40 and 40 is 80. What is that? $120. So let's say you do that multiple times a month. That can get expensive. Then you add in the fuel. If you're staying somewhere, does the surf competition warrant that money? That's also important for you to understand. When they get to the point of, okay, we're taking it to the next level. And that's the key factor here is your Grom, or I'll even use myself. Are you to the point to where, okay, I'm focusing on this now. And if I'm doing all these other ones, it's, unless you're just hopping and having fun, this isn't for you. So I really do encourage you parents to study the surf competitions. Really think about, hey, what is the direction my Grom or yourself is going, and then plan accordingly. Um, that being said, that's kind of really it. I do want to say, I'm gonna lean back a little bit, maybe. There we go. Um, I do want to say there's an important factor when it comes to live streaming. When it comes to, I hate calling it a podcast, and because I mean that's kind of what it is right now. There there are some things in the works behind the scenes that I'm doing right now, and I want to really reiterate, this is just the building block. This is just the foundation practice. Um, really getting the fundamentals down. So long term, this is not how it's going to be. As long as everything plays out right. Um, I've learned a lot since doing all this. I've really, I can't sit back because that just looks unprofessional. Um, I've learned a lot. Who to trust, who not to trust. Um, at the end of the day, it's my promise to you guys, not just for Next Set Live, but as a company, as a person in general, what you see is what you're going to get. I don't choose sides when it comes to surfing this industry. Well, I do. I choose right over wrong. Um, and this is kind of the free talk section. If you have some questions, dude, shoot them at me. I'm legit willing to answer pretty much anything right now. If you have questions about me, my goals, certain plans, there's some things I'm not gonna release yet until it's 100% in stone, or my thoughts on certain topics. Um, but pretty much with me, what you see is what you're gonna get. There legit is not anything in this industry that one I have not ever dealt with or dealt with worse. I have really come to enjoy surfing as an industry itself. I'm tossing this industry up with running for public office. Legit 100%. There are legitimate good people, good businesses that, and this is going to be split up into two sections, that really don't care. I am one of those. I don't care if everybody that supports me right now, sponsor wise, just said, we're pulling the plug on you because you won't push what we want you to push, ain't gonna break my heart. I don't care. That is a big problem in this industry right now. I'm not gonna go into details. I'm not gonna spill the beans. If you pay attention, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, you've got a large population in this industry that really genuinely do care. They want to see everybody thrive. They want to see the surfers do good. They want these competitions to do good and to clean up. And then at the end of the day, there's a bunch of businesses and companies and surf competitions that legitimately only care about lining their pocket. And yes, you can line your pocket with surf competitions, just like I stated a couple episodes ago, or maybe I didn't, how easy it is to line your pocket when you're running for office. It's very easy. Very easy. For those that don't know, um, it is my goal once certain things line out to go back. I actually have two masters that I want to go after. I was actually going to become a lawyer. I'd finished my pre-law degree, so I've got my bachelor's, whatever it is, bachelor's in paralegal studies. It's a blah 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 blah. Um, and so for me, it's important that I read law in general, but when you start something or you're a part of something, it's so important to read. It's so important to understand what you're getting into. Um, and I'm here to tell you, a lot of these surf competitions that you think are helping you and they're supporting you, they're not. They're lining their pockets. Don't care who I piss off. I'm not going to mention any names. Don't really care to. But you can tell when an organization is ran for the right reasons. And the good thing about surfing, and this is legit what's kind of helped keep my view on it clean, um, is there's so many opportunities. You don't have to just stick with one surf competition. There are so many pro surfers out there that are starting their own brands, starting their own surf series because of this right here. And it's fantastic. It's like a civil war in a civil war that's not a civil war, if that makes any sense. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people that do professional competitions, surfing, that's their professional surfers, you're trying to make it to that next level, and it's very difficult to do it on your own. And if you actually go, it's very difficult. When I first got into this, um, it was very difficult for me to find how to have team riders. What do they base it off of? How do you pay these guys? And the more reading I did, everything changed after COVID. Pre-COVID, you could find a plethora of things. Um, what they were paying for, what they were comped for, all kinds of stuff. COVID came, wiped it clean, and they completely changed how they were doing everything. Um, and so it made it difficult, but at the same time, I think it opened up a lot of surfers' eyes to say, "Hey, we're not necessarily just stuck doing this." So I think, sorry, I was giving my son the stank eye because he's in there making a bunch of noise. But I say all that to say this: if you're gonna get your kids into the surf competitions, have no fear. There are plenty of surf competitions to get them in. If it is truly your goal to get your kids to the next level, start traveling. Legit. This isn't one of those deals to where you can just half-heart it. Me and my family have gone all in. We have decided we're homeschooling Madison. We are setting ourselves up to literally start traveling so she can have different waves, so she can experience different waves, understand different surf competitions. This is one of those things to where that you can't really half-heart it. If you really want to push them to that next level, you have to sacrifice certain aspects. And countless times I've heard parents say, "Well, I'm not going to sacrifice my time, my money." Well, you're sacrificing your kid is pretty much what you're doing. And that comes from a kid who my mom did everything she could. She legitimately did everything she could to put me in the right position, to give me those experiences. That's what's going to separate your kids from the other. Are you willing, like with us, are you willing for one to do the training, the homework, the 24/7 focus on this, maybe give up a career, give up such and such hope and dream? That's what you really got to think about. Because if you're not willing to do that, then what's the goal here? What are you really trying to do? I see a bunch of kids and their parents trying to pick up a bunch of, sponsorships and, get companies to promote their kids, but then literally 2 weeks later they're done with surfing. They want nothing to do with it, or they're selling the stuff that, said sponsor gave to them, and never touched it, never used it, never promoted it. What I guess what I'm trying to say is, be careful what competitions you get in. Have a set goal in mind for your kids, for your groms, and make it clear. Hey, this is what we're doing. And if your kid really wants to take it to that next level, I feel like it's our job as parents, um, to let them have that opportunity. Let them have it. You're gonna find out real quickly if your kid's gonna make it or not. In this industry, you will. Um, so that's kind of like a little rant, little free talk. Um, I've got a few minutes. I kind of started. I don't know if I started early or late, but I'm looking at my phone and my wall clock, and well, I mean, technically I could be done. I usually do 45 minutes to an hour. Here's what I'm gonna say. We are going to be at Paradise on the 25th. Get signed up. I'm gonna have a bunch of our product, our wax bags there. I'm gonna do a couple of the raffles, where it spins and it tells me who wins. The only way to get entered into that is to sign up for the surf competition. Um, for future surf competitions, I'm gonna try to get some more swag, some more gear. Um, the first one we did, we had a surfboard giveaway, and Mario gave us a watch, that we put in the giveaway section. So throughout the summer, get signed up with Central ESA. You do have to be a member. That automatically, if you are there at the surf event surfing, you're automatically put in it. So if you want to have a chance to win some free gear, get signed up, come surf. And we want to remind everybody, while we can't really make you move, um, we are live streaming these events, and it does help if you're not standing directly in front of the camera, because we're here to promote the kids. We're here to let social media, let that take hold, and let family members, future scouts, so on and so forth, different clubs and all that, actually see you surf. I will say this: Facebook, Instagram do not keep your live streams for very long anymore. So if you want to actually pull your live stream, you have two options right now. YouTube does not take them down; they're still up on YouTube. Um, Twitch, they're on Twitch too. I highly suggest, if you're having somebody watch you, have them phone record it. iPhones, you can screen record. I'm pretty sure all of them you can do that. So screen record that, because Facebook and Instagram, I think, keep it on for 45 days, and then it gets deleted. So that's the only drawback. So if you're on, I'm gonna stay on for about 5-10 more minutes. If you have any questions that you want to ask me personally, feel free. Feel free to ask. Ask my opinion. If it's a topic that I'm not gonna hit on, I'll let you know. You can ask personal questions. You can ask business questions. Let me get on. I may have had some come through on. Hold on, just 1 minute. Maybe not. Did I not? Bro. I don't think I did. Oops. Oh well. No, it shows me streaming. Oh no. Why is it offline? There it goes. That was weird. That's really weird. Okay. There we go. Let me see if I had any here. It's not showing me any. It's not showing me. Okay. Let's see. We can make mine smaller. There's none on there, none on there. I will say this. I'm pretty key on, one, not forcing people to become sponsors or demanding it or like really pushing it. But here's what I will say. Liking and sharing does a lot. I know you hear them say, "Hey, like and share." Here's why. So when you are on a platform and you get monetization and you get views, the more interaction you get, not just the views, the likes, the comments, it all feeds in. And I'm here to tell you, unless you're getting millions of views, you're not making a living off of doing this. It's literally pennies, but it stacks up. It adds up. It helps push it, and that like I said, that's the key thing for me. That's what's really important. Um, is you guys liking, sharing, and commenting pushes the content. And so even on live, even when we're doing the surf competitions and the live streaming for those, get on there, comment, ask a question, um, ask anything. I mean, let it be appropriate, but um, so let's see here. I know, I know we have a buddy watching off of YouTube right now in Puerto Rico. A little jealous. My R didn't really roll. Puerto Rico. There we go. That coffee dry mouth kicked in. You need to get on your phone and start bugging me. I know you've got something to say. Sitting in there in your living room, overlooking the mountain valley, and then you can see the ocean. We'll be there soon. We will be there soon. So I'll finish with this. So we do have, like I said, we do have some things in the works, lined up. What we're trying to do is what's not being done. There are some people out there that have taken note of what I am trying to do, that I'm allowing the public. It is April 20th. But is it really happy April 20th since it's so readily available? Does it really doesn't that take away from the meaning? Um uh what what I'm getting at is like with our wax bags, we had a couple knockoffs. We had a couple people try to knock it off. And it didn't really go anywhere for them. You're gonna see a handful of individuals come through and try to do something similar to what I'm doing right now. However, they don't have the full picture, and that's what I'm telling you is what I'm building behind the scenes to not let anybody know, is the key thing. So what's coming, pending a couple of things, is legitimately something that not just this area, but I'm going to stay statewide, possibly eastern seaboard side, um, is going to be a game changer as long as you guys, one, stay with me, keep watching, because it's going to drop out of nowhere. I'm not going to give a heads up. We are, I'm working behind the scenes, trying to bring in a couple of individuals, getting prepared for if, and I want to say if and when, um, it happens. Um, because a lot of things can happen in the next couple weeks, that are out of my control. And so that's why I hadn't really said what's going on, um, is because I would hate to say what I'm doing or what I'm wanting and trying to do, and then it can't happen. I think that would be a big letdown. So while it's kind of working in my favor to build things up, um, honestly, I'm not really that kind of guy, especially business wise. I don't like building anticipation. I like just saying what it is and dropping it right in your face. And so with this day and age that we live in, and we see it across the board, we see it in surfing, we see it everywhere. Um, especially with social media, you get that 15 to 30 seconds. The average, if you actually do the research, the average view time is 3 to 15 seconds on these videos. Like when you're creating little snippets, little videos, Very rarely do you get, like, if you create a 45-second video, very rarely does the whole 45 seconds get watched. It's literally 3 to 10, at most 15 seconds. So it's important to build on that. And so that's why I keep trying to let you guys know, hey, this is not where we're staying. I'm not going to be here forever. We're not going to be single person ran. What's being in the works is something special. It really is, and I'm super excited. I'm praying every single day that it all works out. And so stick with me. Engage. That's the key thing. Engage, engage, engage. Um, Fixing to get off, make some dinner. Um, we are not doing anything Thursday since we do have the competition on the 25th. Um, so I'm surfing in it, Madison surfing in it. We're going to focus on getting ready for that competition and then tune in the 25th. And we'll watch these Groms, young and I can't call somebody older than me a Grom. Young and old, go kill it this Saturday. Come rain, sleet, snow, flat or big, we will be there. Thanks for tuning in to Next Set Live.